Good day, this is Denver Fernandez here, and today I'll be talking something about Indian history. So you would have all heard about the movie KUNJALI MARAKKAR, Arabikadalinte Simham, the movie starring Mohanlal directed by Priyadarshan that won the national award for the best film, and it's actually great achievement for Malayalam cinema. But in this video, I will not be discussing the movie, but I'll be discussing the real history of Kunjali Marakkars. And this is going to be a very interesting story. So we don't know how much of this real history the movie is going to replicate. So let's go to the real history of Kunjali Marakkars. So Kunjali Marakkars were a family of sea merchants. And when you hear Kunjali Marakkar, you'll think that it's just one person, but no, it's actually an entire family. And they were dedicated to travel. And before the Portuguese came to India, Kerala had a great trade relationship with Arabia and Egypt. And ships used to travel from Kerala to Egypt and Arabia, and they used to return back with so many trade goods, etc. So everything suddenly changed when Portuguese came to Kerala, especially when Vasco da Gama landed in Calicut in 1498. And earlier, Zamorins were growing in power, especially the Zamorin in Calicut was actually growing in power during this period. And it seemed like the Zamorins would dominate the entire landmass of Kerala. But once the Portuguese came, everything changed. The Zamorins started becoming weak. And Zamorins had only one way to escape this situation. It is to trust the Kunjali Marakkars. So at that time, there was this Kunjali Marakkar called Kutti Ali. So Kutti Ali was an expert in Navy. In a way, he's a self-taught expert in Navy. Actually, he became famous because of his navigation skills, how he took ships from Kerala and traveled to Egypt and Arabia, etc. So he used these navigation skills to develop one of the first strong modern navies in Kerala. And his way of attacking Portuguese ships was actually quite revolutionary. You would have heard of guerrilla warfare, where small armies defeat big armies using tactics, especially in a forest or in a different region. And this small army actually uses their knowledge of the surroundings to attack the big army. So Kutti Ali, the first Kunjali Marakkar, used a similar technique. So what he did was he made a lot of small ships. And the advantage of these small ships was that they could travel faster and they could be built in large numbers. So when the Portuguese ship, which was large and heavy, attacked places like Calicut, etc., the small ships of which Kunjali Marakkar built, Kutti Ali built, attacked the Portuguese ships through a kind of guerrilla warfare and easily defeated the Portuguese ships. And Portuguese ships were too slow to retaliate. Another fact is that Kunjali Marakkars actually were originally from Cochin. And because the Portuguese conquered Cochin, they shifted to Ponnani. Ponnani was a region under the care of the Zamorin of Calicut. So Zamorin of Calicut knew the potential of Kutti Ali, the first Kunjali Marakkar, and he helped Kutti Ali to develop this first navy. And like that, Kutti Ali was able to be a master in the field of navy when it comes to the history of Kerala. From 1525 onwards, the Kunjali ruled the sea and the Portuguese could do nothing. But the Portuguese thought that they need someone else to actually defeat Kutti Ali. So they selected a new governor called Sampaio. Sampaio was more cunning than the previous governor, and he found so many different ways under which he could capture Kutti Ali. And after a lot of difficulty, in 1528, he finally captured Kutti Ali. So this was a huge victory for the Portuguese. So the Portuguese thought that the battle is over and they could easily conquer the whole of Kerala, because their biggest threat, Kutti Ali, is in jail. But things suddenly changed. I told you earlier, Kunjali Marikkas is not just one person. It's a huge family. So one of the relatives of Kutti Ali, called Pachachi Marika, and Kutti Ali's youngest son, Kunjali too, formed a huge naval fleet. They also got the help of Ali Abraham, who was actually from Egypt. And all three of them together formed a greater fleet and attacked the Portuguese, and the Portuguese still couldn't resist the sudden influx of these naval geniuses. The Portuguese trade in Indian waters almost came into a standstill, because the Kunjalis actually attacked even Portuguese ships which were going to Ceylon, that is Sri Lanka, and even they attacked ships that were going to the east coast. And because of that, the Portuguese started becoming weaker and weaker. But then the Portuguese did something which actually changed the game. So they captured an important port called Chalium. Chalium was a very, very important port because it was in such a place that it could look over a lot of important places, the ships moving through a lot of important places. And Chalium was like capturing the port of Chalium was like having a big gun in a huge tower, and whoever comes around can be shot even from a distance. So Chalium, the port of Chalium, was a huge advantage for the Portuguese. So the Portuguese built the fort into a very, very strong army base. So thereby they controlled a lot of places in the sea, and in a way they controlled the power of the Kunjalis. The Zamorin became very weak and he lost all his confidence. He was losing a lot of money from the treasury because of the constant wars. Of course, he funded the Kunjalis, and there was another tragedy that happened during this time. On 1531, Kutti Ali Marakkar was killed. In his place, Kunjali too rose to power. And Kunjali too was actually a better naval officer than his father. And he attacked a lot of Portuguese ships and killed the people who were in that ship and went away. And this actually disheartened the Portuguese. Even though the Portuguese had Chalium, the fort of Chalium with them, still they found the Kunjalis to be a huge threat to their rule or their dominion in Kerala. So there was a very important war, the Siege of Edappally. The Siege of Edappally was done by Martin de Souza in 1536. And in this war, the Portuguese actually were dominating. But then Kunjali too came forward and made them to retreat back to their naval base. The Zamorin, with the help of Kunjali Marakkar, even made friends with the Turks and with the Egyptians. And it is said that even he got a fleet from Turks and Egyptians. But they actually did not take part in the war. They just showed their strength and returned back. And because of this, it was again a huge blow for the Zamorin. Because the Zamorin actually expected the Turkish fleet to attack the Portuguese army and help him. But instead, the Turkish fleet just showed their strength and returned back to their native land. But Slowly, the Zamorin thought, why not make friends with the Portuguese? So I told you earlier, the Zamorin was losing all his money, and he also had plans of attacking small kingdoms, and slowly he made a truce with the Portuguese. The truce actually benefited both of them. The Portuguese could do a kind of free trade of pepper in Calicut. At the same time, Zamorin could attack these small kingdoms and the Portuguese would not say anything. So actually it was a win-win situation. But this actually hurt the Kunjalis. But the friendship between the Zamorin and the Portuguese did not stay for a long time. The Portuguese killed one of Zamorin's close friends, and the Zamorin was very angry, and the Zamorin attacked the Portuguese. And this was the famous Battle of VADUTHALA. This time, Zamorin was actually dominating the war. The Zamorin actually chased the Portuguese from Chile. After the death of Kunjali II, Kunjali III rose to power, and Kunjali III was given a fort by the Zamorin. And from this fort, he was able to attack the Portuguese army, the Portuguese navy, and with this skill, actually he dominated over the Portuguese, and the Portuguese still felt very weak. In the battle of 1586 and 1589, Kunjali III won and the Portuguese lost. The Zamorin also allowed the Portuguese to build a factory in Ponani, which angered the Kunjalis. But in 1591, the Portuguese used the help of a Catholic priest to create a truce between Kunjalis and the Kunjali III and the Portuguese. And this thereby the war was suspended and peace prevailed for some time in the coast of Malabar. But everything changed in 1595. Kunjali IV became the chief of the Marakkars. So it's on this character that the movie Kunjali Marakkar, Arabikadalinte Simham is based. Actually, he started calling himself Arabikadalinte Simham. It was a name given by Kunjali IV to himself. Kunjali IV was given a very high respect. He was treated as a Nayar, even though he was a Muslim. In the Zamorin's court, he was treated as a Nayar. But soon, the Zamorin and Kunjali IV had major indifferences. It is said that Kunjali IV cut the tail of one of Zamorin's favorite elephants, and this actually hurt the Zamorin. And the Zamorin sent a Nayar to mediate between them, and Kunjali IV actually disrespected that Nayar. He treated him badly, and this actually hurt the Zamorin. So the Zamorin once again joined hands with the Portuguese and started attacking Kunjali. Now the Zamorin is siding with the Portuguese and attacking Kunjali IV. And in this, there's a huge battle which happens. And in this huge battle, Kunjali IV wins. The reason the history says for this huge win is because of the lack of coordination between the Zamorin and the Portuguese. But then the Zamorin and the Portuguese made a careful planning for the next war. The Zamorin decided that he will concentrate on battle in land, and the Portuguese decided that they will concentrate only on battle that is happening in the sea. So this coordination happened because there was a confusion regarding commands and instructions, which led to the defeat of the Zamorin as well as the Portuguese. In this war, the Zamorin captured Kunjali IV, and the Zamorin promised Kunjali IV that he will be treated well, and there's not going to be any serious punishments for Kunjali IV, and he will ask the admiral to treat him well, etc. But the Zamorin was crooked. He actually gave Kunjali IV to the Portuguese. So the Portuguese took Kunjali IV to Goa and tried him and executed him. And Kunjali's body was cut into various pieces. His various body parts were erected in huge poles as a warning to other rebels. The head of Kunjali IV was salted and sent to Cannanore. and though it was kept on a stake as a warning to other people in Kerala who dare to become like Kunjali. So this is a huge revolution or huge struggle against Western imperialism, and this is something which is actually forgotten in history. So for this study, I used this book, A Survey of Kerala History by A. Sreedhara Menon. And I would also like to quote from another book, A History of Kerala by K.M. Panikkar. So these are the lines from that book. There can be no doubt that the lives of these chiefs reflect glory and honor on all Malabar, for their achievements against the naval tyranny of Portuguese form indeed a great chapter in the history of Malabar. So even now in the history of Malabar, KUNJALI MARAKKARS are remembered. All the four of them are well remembered in the history of Malabar, even though they are not known in other parts of Kerala. So thank you.